We're going to go over Insider SAT math strategies. And let me ask you why I'm using the word insider. Why do you think I'm using the word insider? I've tutored SAT extensively for over 12 years, so I've learned every nook and cranny, every small part of the internal structure of the SAT exam. So let's go ahead and get started. SAT math strategy number one. You want to use an overall strategy, not a mixture of random tips. So therefore, it's fine if you have the SAT math question of the day. That is excellent. Go ahead and use that. However, when it really comes down, you need to have a overall strategy, a certain way that you approach it, a paradigm. And if your paradigm is the right paradigm, you're going to end up getting the most out of the tactics. So a strategy is an overall method of doing something. The tactics are the specific application. So let's get into a specific application here. So SAT math tactic number one, I want you to question all definitions. Notice that I've shouted out or put all in all caps. And the reason for this is some of these definitions are words that you've known virtually forever, or is a large portion of your life. So, for instance, there's certain definitions that you may have learned before you even got to school what the word meant. And you need to be able to question those definitions. This is very important. So let's talk about an application. SAT math tactic application number one. Okay, n cubed is equal to 3n. Note, read n cubed is, that's supposed to be an exponent. And this was before I found a way to make it float up in the air like an exponent is going to. All right, now, can you solve this problem? Is there anything where n cubed equals 3n? Well, the obvious answer would be 0. But in addition to that, is there anything else? Did you search your mind, rack your brains, press your gray matter to endless frustration? Hopefully not. The answer is to use SAT math tactic number one. Question all definitions. So as I alluded to a little earlier, most of us learn the word number at a very early age. Over 12 years, I've asked many students to give me examples of 3 numbers. And the most typical answer is 1, 2, 3. And this really shows how inside the box some of us are. For passwords, there's people using 1, 2, 3, 4 when that's the easiest password to crack. We really need to think outside the box. I think I've had one student answer that problem correctly with a square root as an answer. So the correct answer is the square root of 3. And of course 0, but outside of 0, the correct answer is the square root of 3. Because the square root of 3, just like pi, the Greek letter pi, they're all numbers. Okay, so the key point is that the SAT math prep student needs to question even basic definitions like the word number. I've heard it said that we're creatures of habit. The question is, are they good habits, productive habits, or counterproductive, destructive habits? The SAT is well aware of the fact that we're creatures of habit too, and it's the ability to dispense with that. I was recently tutoring a student in geometry, and we switched from two-dimensional axes to three-dimensional. I kept referring to it as quadrant, and it took me a few times before I switched to octant, which is what it what it's divided up in a three-dimensional XYZ plane. So I understand the difficulty in this. However, you can definitely, if you focus, switch out of a habit by questioning even basic definitions like the word number. Let's look askance or carefully at a plethora, a bunch, of basic math definitions. An integer is sometimes considered a synonym for a whole number. But is it the same thing? No. A whole number is a subset of integers. Integers can also be negative, like -1, -2, -3, and so on. Okay. A prime number is sometimes conflated. I'm trying to work in a little bit of vocabulary here. I believe that cross-pollination between the subjects anchors its stride. So conflated means confused. So a prime number is sometimes conflated with odd numbers. A prime number is almost always an odd number with one exception, the number 2. Beyond the number 2, all even numbers are not prime because they're divisible by 2. However, there are an infinite number of odd numbers that are not prime, 9, 15, 21. A prime number has exactly 2 factors, 1 in itself. Please note that 1 is not a prime number because it has only 1 factor. Neither is 0 a prime number due to its unique mathematical properties. I like to say that 0 and 1 are in their own mathematical universe. So examples of prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, and so on. An interesting fact are huge prime numbers have been used for software encryption due to the rarity of extremely large prime numbers. Kind of an interesting little factoid there. Some students that I've worked with seem to confuse the formula for the area of the circle and the circumference of the circle. I've developed a clear-cut memory device to help with that. If you notice here, we have the area of the circle, a equals pi r squared, and the circumference of the circle is c equals 2 pi r. Also, another formula for circumference is pi diameter, but we're going to stick with the radius for this. So if you notice on the picture here, I put a equals pi r squared inside the box. This is the only time we want to be thinking inside the box here in SAT math. And the circumference 2 pi r is in the circle. So this is a good way to create memory devices to help you distinguish between. And while these formulas may be given to you on the test, the fact of the matter is, if you have it memorized, you have that confidence level, and you can do that much more. I hope that you've enjoyed these insider SAT math strategies, and I look forward to hearing from you with any questions that you may have. My name is Darryl Hold at affordable-tutor.com, 770-324-0076, or tutorpro88@gmail.com.